What's up, people? Listen, for any of you that are interested in investing in Philadelphia real estate as a landlord, listen to this shit. You can no longer listen. I thought after the shutdown that the moratorium was over in Philly and that you could evict someone, business as usual. No. Now you can't just evict someone. Philadelphia has a program you have to go through before you evict the tenant. How crazy does that sound? So, and I thought by renting by the room, I would avoid that. I thought by renting by the room, I would avoid some of the nonsense and some of the heat and some of the drama and some of the bureaucracy and big city evictions. How they have all these different laws in place to prevent landlords from kicking just bad tenants out. And bad tenants can not only be just people that don't pay rent. You know, I'll give more excuses to people that don't pay rent. I'll pardon them before I would some of these people out here that are just bad tenants, because things happen. People lose their jobs all the time. People experience sometimes a loss of income. So I understand that. But I went to the courthouse today to evict 2 tenants. One, because she violated her lease, and she's a rooming tenant month to month. I didn't know you had to go through all this for a fucking month-to-month tenant. So she violated her lease by constantly allowing her boyfriend inside of the house. And I came over there a few times and would catch him in there. And she would tell me, oh, he's just here for the weekend. She would lie to me. Meanwhile, the other roommates in the house, they were telling me, no, the guy lives there. So they would have these ongoing fights where the police would get involved. So she did something. Her and this guy, they would fight all the time, but they got into something so bad that the police had to get involved. So now I go to evict her, and I get to the court, and they tell me, oh, did you go through our landlord diverse program, a diversion program? I said no, and I heard about it, but I thought that was just during the shutdown. She said no. I said, well, this is just a rooming tenant month to month. She said, yeah, you still can't evict them. I'm like, what the fuck does a month to month lease mean? What value does it have if I can't enact it? If I can't enforce it? If the state or the city or the county doesn't enforce it, what the hell does a month-to-month lease mean? So I said, wait a minute. I said, so even if I have a tenant, because this is the other tenant, that's selling drugs, I have to go through this program. And she said, yes. Yeah. So she totally sympathized with me. Empathized with me, both of those things. She said, look, listen, I totally agree. I think this is nonsense. She said, but you have to go through an interview as a landlord first. And the county will interview you to see if the problem is you, not the tenant. And then she said they'll make a decision. But you got to wait 30 days before they even give you a decision if it's okay for you to kick this person out. Then after those 30 days, you can now file. And once you file, guess what? It could take another 4 to 6 weeks before you even get a court date. So you're looking at altogether 30, likely another 30 or more days, 45 days, 90 days, whatever. It'll take you maybe a good 3 to 4 months to get someone out. Probably even more, depending on if the person, because in Philadelphia, the tenant has a right to appeal for any reason. Once they appeal, now that adds another 30 days on to the wait. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on, but these are like incentives that will make people that just thought about being a landlord want to say, fuck it. Like, why go through this shit? Why? If they're really just not much, if it's a bunch of red tape, right? And you can't get your own property back, and you have to go through this and fight the county just to get your property back. It's your business. This is my business here. I'm losing income. So even though they pay rent, once you pull the trigger on the eviction, now they're not going to pay. And sadly for me, I already told one of these tenants, hey, don't pay your next month's rent because I'm doing this. So now I just bought this person probably an additional 30 days. So I'm going to tell you, anyone that's thinking about, and this is not all of Pennsylvania now, because I've owned property in Pennsylvania. You know, I had a house in Dauphin County, and one in Dauphin County is not as bad as Philly, but yeah, they have judges in there that are in favor of the tenant. A lot of time, it would give the landlord a hard time. But in Schuylkill County, like the Berks County area, oh, that's a breeze. You could kick anyone out. Like, they really are more in favor of the landlord. You know, they don't let tenants walk into court and play these games. You know, like I had a tenant who just decided to stop paying his rent because he went on paternity leave with his woman. And then after that, I think he got so comfortable with just not paying his rent. And meanwhile, he didn't tell me he was going to do that. He moved in, showed me all his paperwork, and everything was good. Paid the first 2 months' rent, then went on paternity leave. So I'm like, so you knew you were going to do this. And you just decided you were going to do this to me, the landlord. So you knew you were going to pull this paternity thing, which, you know, I'm not knocking that. You were going to take your paternity leave, but you already had your mind made up that you were going to stiff your landlord, me, before paying your rent. When we got before a judge, this guy tried to make all kind of excuses about me being a deadbeat landlord, about all these repairs that need to be made, and the landlord was like, okay, so, but what does that have to do with you not paying your rent? The judge literally told him. Now, you clearly see what kind of guy I am. White judge, white tenant, didn't mean shit. That judge, I'm, if you listen to social media, I would think, on TV, I would think, oh boy, I don't have a chance in this court with these tenants. I never did think like that, but this was just all the more proof. The judge told this guy, and this was a young white guy with a newborn baby, and his woman there. His woman was only 18, he's about 22. Once that judge saw, when I showed the text, that this guy stopped paying his rent because he took paternity leave, and that when I tried to get him to sign up with one of the state's incentives during that time, this is during the shutdown, where they had these payment things in place that would help tenants, how he didn't pass that. So he didn't pass the smell test. So he couldn't get those benefits. So once I showed all that to the judge was like, all right, so do you have all the back rent that you owe the landlord? The guy said no. Judge said, okay, all right, I'm ruling in favor of the plaintiff. You got 30 days. No, in that county, I think it was 15, but, really 30. Let's say 15, then you have to file again and they get another 15. So, yeah, about 30 days, but the process was pretty quick. I would say in under 2 months, I had this guy out in under 2 months. But this is ridiculous. So once again, if you're thinking about buying real estate in Philadelphia as an investor and to rent and make additional income, think twice. So if you get tenants in there, you better make sure you screen those tenants very closely. But with the job market right now, that's even at a high risk. People are losing their jobs left and right. So what happens when you have someone that lose their job and you just can't get them out? But in this case, the worst case, why my case is really bad, is because I'm dealing with bad tenants. Someone that literally sells drugs, have the security camera there. I see them on the steps selling drugs, smoking drugs, doing everything right there, and I can't get, and the county tells me, no, you have to go through an interview with us and we will give you the okay to evict the tenant. And then from there, you get 30 days to get the answer. And then from there, another 4 to 6 weeks before we even contact the tenant and give them a court date. I mean, really? So anyway, please like, share, and subscribe and comment. I would love to hear some of your stories out there. If anyone out there that lives in Philly as a tenant that has gone through any situation with the courts, any landlords especially, thank you.